Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. My name is George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. It's Monday morning, another amazing opportunity for you to create the life that you were meant to live. I always say it's never too late to start living the life that you were meant to live, and I really believe that. I believe this is another opportunity, another day. And this week, we are going to be focused on prosperity pillar number 7, which is I choose to be happy. So choosing happiness is kind of our focus for this week. But let me ask you a question first. Are you addicted to the future? In other words, have you ever thought about that? Your vision of the future is driving you. And yes, your future life is going to be sort of a motivation for you, but are you addicted to that future life? Does your vision of the future rob you of some of the happiness of the present moment? Is your future life continually pushing your happiness a little bit further and a little bit further out of your reach? You know, I've experienced this myself, so I kind of know how it feels. But I had a pretty interesting experience today driving home from my morning workout. You know, I finished what I'd have to say is probably a pretty long and hard workout, longer than normal. And I was trying to push myself a little further today. You know, maybe it was to use that time to gain some more clarity for the week, or maybe it was just routine, but it was definitely a good workout. And after I got my workout done, I went and got in my car and I started heading home. And, you know, I turned on my normal affirmation audio that I have, and I usually do that in the morning or listen to a podcast. And then I hit the button on my center console of my car that is programmed to have my seat massagers turn on and give me kind of quote unquote a fast, vigorous massage. That's the setting that I put in the computer of my car to give me a little relaxation on my way home. Now, when I did that, something hit me totally out of the blue. Now, maybe it's because I knew, this week would be about choosing happiness, or maybe I was just, in the zone listening to my affirmations. But I realized that I was driving down the road, literally getting a massage in my leather seats of my car, and I hadn't even realized how crazy cool that was. I had sort of been taking it for granted because I usually, am too consumed with the need to go to the next level or what I had planned for the day, or basically that future vision of what I wanted. Now, on a side note, I'm not telling you this to impress you. On the contrary, I'm telling this to impress upon you. And so I want you to listen really closely here for a second. If you don't train yourself to enjoy what you have in the present, then you'll be conditioning yourself not to appreciate it when you have it in the future. And I know this from experience. This is an example of just that. Now, of course, I practice gratitude. I try to do that daily. But, how you do anything is how you do everything. So how many times during the day are you appreciating the little things in your life? The ability to actually wake up and be alive, the gift of health or relationships or freedom of religion or occupation. How about appreciating the ability to choose what job or career or business that you'd like to start, or even being able to start a business? How often do you realize and appreciate that we live in the age of the internet where you can learn and grow and accomplish or be anything? Do you enjoy and appreciate the people in your life, the relationships that support you? Are you just too consumed with the future life that you have to live, or caught up in the treadmill of life? Are you always looking at the better life, the life that you're trying to create, the vision of the future that's not even real yet? That's what we spend a lot of time moving towards as entrepreneurs. But this reminds me of a quote from the Dalai Lama. He said, "We need to learn how to want what we have, not to have what we want, in order to get steady and stable happiness." Let me read that again for you real quick. We need to learn how to want what we have, not to have what we want, in order to get steady and stable happiness. Now, I've heard this quote before, but this is the first time I've really thought about it, and I recognize the idea or thought that we need to, quote unquote, learn how to want what we have. Because that's not a given, right? We can't just say, I want what I have. Because if we did, we would be doing it, right? So I believe that this week I'd like to focus our thoughts, yes, on prosperity pillar number 7, I choose to be happy, But more importantly, I want to focus on the actions of learning to be happy, because I believe that choosing happiness is simply learning to be happy and grateful with your daily actions. Not your words, not a one-time decision, but your daily actions. I mean, I've always felt a little weird that, when people say, I choose happiness, without backing it up with some kind of a process or system or explanation of how to do that, because it's really not that simple, right? So this week, let's talk about specifically how you can actively choose happiness through your actions, your daily activities, your daily routine or rituals. But before I let you go, I want to give you something practical to try and think about. I recently have been reading a book, or reading it again, right? I've read it before. It's called The Happiness Equation, and I highly recommend this book. It's called The Happiness Equation, and the subtitle is the actual equation. It says, want nothing plus do anything equals have everything. And we're going to kind of go through that and discuss it a little bit more throughout this week. But today I wanted to share with you one of the items I pulled from the book. It's 7 specific things that you can do. So you see, I've met and been around a lot of successful people in my life, and many of them are, for all intents and purposes, the definition of success, but aren't happy. I've been there myself, and I still am at times. You may be there as well, where you've had success, but just not necessarily happy. And the reason for this is that we, at times or often, we're seeking happiness from external things, when only internal things can bring us happiness. Sure, the money, lifestyle, cars, clothes, watches, shoes, for some of you, will bring up some short-term gratification and happiness, but not true deep happiness. Only positive emotions will bring this to us. It's as one of my partners, Robert Stuberg, says, we're all seeking, ultimately, the emotions that these external things bring us. It's not the things, it's the emotions. But the key is to find ways to create these emotions daily. And we all have the power to do this. So anyway, back to the book. Sorry, I get off on some tangents once in a while. But I want to read from you from page 15. This is in chapter 4 of the book, The Happiness Equation. Then I'm going to give you 7 specific ways to be happy right now, or create those emotions. So hang with me a little bit longer. So reading from chapter 4, page 15, it says, Aristotle says happiness depends upon ourselves. Viktor Frankl says everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Walt Whitman writes, keep your face always towards the sunshine and shadows will fall behind you. I love what Aristotle, Viktor Frankl, and Walt Whitman say, but how do we get there? Well, we now have specific scientific evidence of the importance of attitude and specific proven actions that we can take to manage our attitude. So the book says attitude, right? Then he goes on to say, when my wife Leslie turned 16, her grandmother gave her a brass-framed quote for her birthday. She hung it on her bedroom wall, and she looked at it in the mornings before school, and it's still hanging in her bedroom today. And I took a picture of it, and he put it in the book, and I'm going to read it to you. It's called Attitude, and it's written by Sam Walton. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude, to me, is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than success, than other people think or say or do. It's more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home, a friendship. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will express for the day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is plan on the one we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what I am convinced that life is 10% what happens and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. by Sam Walton. Now, I know it says Sam Walton on the poster, but this is an artifact of the old days when email forwards and chain letters had misattributions. It was actually written by Charles Swindoll, a Texas preacher who broadcast to more than 2,000 radio stations. But you know what's more important than this quote? The book goes on to say, the second to the last sentence. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens and 90% how I react to it. Well, new research published in The How of Happiness by University of California psychology professor Sonia Lamborski, I hope I pronounced that right, tells us exactly how much of our happiness is based on our life circumstances. The research show it's 10%. Only 10% of our happiness is what happens to us. So 90% of our happiness isn't based on what's happening in the world, it's based on how we see the world. What's included in the 90% is our genetic predisposition or our intentional activities. Yes, intentional activities. That's big because those are the specific things we can do to improve our happiness, and they alone have 4 times the effect on our happiness than anything happening in our life. So that means even if I knew everything about your life circumstances, your job, your health, your marital status, your income, I could still only predict only 10% of your happiness. That's it. The remaining is not determined by your external world, but by how your brain processes it. So the point that this chapter makes is that your actions, your activities, your ability to influence your happiness level is 90%. It's not related to everything else going on around you. So what I want to do before I leave you here today is I want to give you 7 specific ways from the book, 7 specific activities that you can immediately do to impact your attitude and create the emotional state that generates happiness. Some of these are ones that you may already know and that you remember, but I want you to practice them and put them into your daily routine, your daily rituals. So let's go through those real quick. The first one is 3 walks. Going for a walk. Because the American Psychosomatic Society published a study showing that a team of doctors had found that 3 30-minute brisk walks or jogs even improve recovery from clinical depression. I mean, seriously, think about that. 3 brisk walks can even help to influence and influence recovery from clinical depression. So 3 walks a week. That's a huge one you can do. The second one is the 20-minute replay. Now, it's been proven, and you can try this yourself, that writing for 20 minutes about a positive experience from the past dramatically improves happiness. Why? Because you get to relive the experience. Think about a positive experience you've had. When you think about it, it brings some of those emotions back. So journal about it. Write it down. Put it in a note. And presto, you'll create those emotions again. That's the 20-minute replay. The third one is random acts of kindness. Carrying out 5, let's say, random acts of kindness per week dramatically improves happiness. It takes the focus off you and it places it on others and makes you feel better internally. So this is probably the single most important thing you can do, the most important activity you can try. And then the fourth one is a complete unplug. The only way to really engage in the present moment is to disconnect from all the insanity that's going on around us. So unplug your phone after dinner or before bed. Take time off social media or the internet when you're trying to do something important. But unless you unplug from all the other distractions, you're going to never have the ability to be present and grounded in the moment, which is what's going to help you create happiness. The next idea is to hit flow. To hit your flow. Flow has been described many times as a state you're in when you're engaging in your unique ability, your unique talent, something you're good at and you're passionate about. And it also, real importantly, it challenges you. Because if you're not being challenged, then you're not going to hit flow. We've all experienced what it's like to lose track of time and things like that. But what I want you to do is block out more time in your day-to-day schedule for activities that can help you to hit your flow. Okay? And then the next step or the next activity you can do is the 2-minute meditations. Meditation is a state where you can actually rewire your brain to raise your happiness level. So it's really important that you spend time on this. This is science that has proven that the benefits of meditation have been shown before and after meditation. So get one of those free meditation apps, practice 2 minutes. It's not about whether it's guided, unguided, whatever else. It's the fact that you slow down and you just enjoy the quiet and you try to focus on being present in the moment, right? The next activity is 5 gratitudes. Now, I've learned from experience that when you appreciate more of what you have, it brings happiness greater than having what you want. So the key is to practice this. You actually have to practice gratitude. So get a journal, a notepad, a mobile app, whatever it is. I use that gratitude app. And every single day, write down 5 things that you're grateful for. It doesn't matter whether they're big things or little things. It's just the act of training your brain to be grateful. So those are the 7 activities. Let's review them again real quick. You've got 3 walks. You've got the 20-minute replay. You've got random acts of kindness, a complete unplug, hitting your flow, 2-minute meditations, and 5 gratitudes. Now, I encourage you, this is huge, I challenge you to do these things and see what happens. They're going to ground you in the moment, the present. They're going to help you train your own mind to focus on happiness first, and they will bring you positive benefits without a doubt. Try it. See what happens. That is something I encourage you to do. Those are 7 practical ways. So that's my thought for today. I hope it was something that inspired you to do more. Practice being more in prioritizing the present moment and prioritizing happiness in your life. This week I'll continue to bring you thoughts, inspiration, strategies, and tips that'll help you to choose happiness in your life. But I really sincerely hope that you will start to build that into your daily rituals, your daily routines. That's my message for today. This has been the Daily Mastermind Podcast, and my name is George Wright III. Have a good day.